You have to laugh at the dark things that happen in life. Otherwise, you just can't do this stuff.
You know, laugh about it and make jokes about it. And they're like, you have no fucking idea.
Everybody who does all this is badass motherfuckers for sure.
Has a patient ever physically hurt you?
Within the last 6 months, a psych patient threw the table at me and called me the C word. She swallowed $1.25 and change. She grabbed my ponytail. She ripped the clip out. We had security. She was like, "Wah!" 2 days before that, she was drooling and soiling herself. When you're getting a table thrown at you and you're feeling like a little getting called filthy names, sometimes you just gotta laugh.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Badass Motherfucker Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to have Jessica Galati, a medical social worker out of Long Island, New York. Jessica, we talked to a few of your coworkers. They had some really nice things to say about you. I'm going to read some of this off right now. This badass motherfucker always has your back. It could be that the ER blew up with psych discharges, alcohol rehab placement unit discharges, and patients cursing you out. This badass motherfucker comes in, cleans it all up, and saves the day like the Wonder Woman she is. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you.
What are the typical patient cases you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Oh my goodness. It could be an array of things, but typical from soup to nuts could be your local jokel who's gotten intoxicated and has been sleeping outside for 3 days and now needs a warm place to recoup post-seizure. The patient that is chronically mentally ill coming in screaming obscenities, coming in for reading of medications. And then you have other patients that are coming in for medical needs, that need placement, people that drop off their grandmas and just leave, never come back. Lots of crazy things like that. It's fascinating, the human nature, what people actually can handle and do and survive.
Oh man. I could talk about abandonment all day, man. It happens so often in the ER.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even the kids and the stuff that's been harder as I've had children, the stuff that goes on with the kids that you see. Stupidity.
I'd imagine that'd be some of the harder cases, right? Like just the domestic violence, things with the kids, abandonment.
Mm-hmm. Domestic violence is hard. Domestic violence is always hard because it's the hospital in its essence is just a snapshot, right? Like we're not going to be able to do the huge amount of clinical that we would do if it was a different environment. So you're getting a moment to really access a port of resources, give them what they need and kind of guide them. And you do get those cases where you have a little more longevity, like you've seen them repetitively, you've seen them come in and out. I had one young girl, she used to come in and out all the time and she would just lie to herself about the abuse and it was just constant. And then one time he broke her orbital bone and she really she was ready. But I had seen her multiple times before that. Typical answers about the bruising and stuff. It's a sin sometimes, but yeah, that's always rough.
What are some of the typical excuses or answers
for domestic violence?
Mm-hmm.
You hate to sound so stereotypical, but a lot of times the falling. I mean, I don't know how sometimes these women can describe the falls and know that we're looking at the bruises. I mean, arm fractures, spiral fractures are only able to be done by a pull most of the time. You know what I mean? The broken noses. I fell, I tripped, I wasn't looking, I didn't have my glasses on. I had one girl told me she didn't have her glasses on. She had two front teeth out and a fracture right here. I'm like, did you hit a concrete wall? Obviously I don't, there's a whole other, whole other emotional, issues with that.
No.
And there's more to it. There's so much more to them being beat. I did domestic violence counseling for years. I had one lady, we have a parkway and he chased her up and down the parkway, back and forth for probably a good 45 minutes and then caught her at 7-Eleven and beat the shit out of her there. She sat in that group and somehow said, well, she goes, if I wouldn't have stopped for coffee. And she was fucking dead on completely and blaming herself. And I'm like, you realize that like he chased you for, she was like, no, but I had to stop for a coffee. I thought he was gone. I'm like, and she really, it was that, like, that to me is like so bothersome that even like how pervasive the abuse is that you almost believe you did it to yourself. And that takes a long time to change.
And this is what it is to be a social worker, right? You're dealing with this a lot. And I really feel
Hmm.
like it's so important for people to understand like what your job is, because I don't think enough people really know. And
No, I
you
think
should,
people think it's just like a DSS worker, like I'm just taking test information. It's lucrative. It's an onion. There's layers and layers and layers of what we do.
you have, the abandonment, you have the domestic violence, and not to mention now, the endless psych patients cases that you have to deal with, and the placement with that too. I'm
Hmm.
sure that's a nightmare, right? We just don't have enough places to take care of psych patients. And
No.
what,
So in New York, we have Pilgrim State Hospital, right? So years ago, people were obviously not nice to mentally ill. People were ignorant. Nobody knew how to handle certain things. So everybody got labeled. People were getting tied up against walls, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely inappropriate and disgraceful. But what they did was they did the extreme. So they deinstitutionalized a lot of the hospitals and put patients with persistent mentally ill concerns that maybe shouldn't be out in the community or couldn't manage in the community. Um, and then they're just not getting the support they need. So you have like in New York or Long Island, I don't know if it's New York, like supportive case management, intensive case management, and mentally ill individuals that are trying to affiliate into the community, with bipolar. So some of are hearing voices and, bipolar, mentally ill patients often will, do self medication, and then there's drugs and there's alcohol for multitudes of reasons. It's not just pigeonholed in there. It's, and you don't have enough resources. So now you have hospitals not open in the same capacity. Ugh. So then they're off their meds. People are calling the police and they're coming into the emergency room, and then they're placed in a hospital. And again, all the almighty dollar. Your insurances are only going to pay so much in when they're sending them out to a psychiatric facility. You had like all of them coming into the hospitals and the psychiatrist coming in, evaluating them, and then sending them out to a psychiatric hospital. But that hospitalization might not be long, you know, it could be a few days, a week. I mean, it's sad. Sometimes it's really sad.
no,
And drug and
fair
alcohol
enough.
is all voluntary. I can make that appointment and they could say till they're blue in my face. I just had a patient recently. It was the weekend and she was supposed to stay till Monday for an inpatient that was, upstate. And we set it up for her because of, she's been long term alcoholic, young family was involved. She had a critical, hospital stay. So she was there for a bit. We had the time available through the hospitalization to tie up the loose ends, right? So those are the things that we do. We have a behavioral health social worker. So there's more that this was an opportunity to really support that other than just provide resources. Sunday came. The doctor was like, well, she can leave. And I'm like, well, she has a place tomorrow. And the patient was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm going to go. And I'm like, well, we have you admitted for tomorrow. And I'm like, we're going to send you here. We think maybe it would be better to go from institute to institute. Nope. I mean, literally, if she could have like printed out her own discharge paperwork, she was like, bye. Now, this was after being 3 weeks in a hospital, intubated, extubated, all of it. And do I know that she was going to drink or not? Absolutely not. She swore to God that she was going to just go home, pack up, get her stuff together and drive up there the next day. She probably didn't. I'm sure she probably didn't. But we're not judge and jury. I have no legal ability to hold anybody. Just like when I had, the mom of another patient call up and the daughter absolutely needed help. She was, the mother must have Narcaned her like 17 times in the last year. The kid definitely needed help. But, once you're sober, you're cognizant, right? You're like, I'm fine. She's crazy, blah, blah, blah. The mother was screaming, I'm going to sue you guys if my daughter's dead. You guys have to do something. I cannot force her to go to treatment. Like, it's
Oh
like,
my
this isn't
God.
court. So
Yeah.
then you've got that like weighing on your soul. Cause like, I'm a mother. I'm a human. Like, I'm hearing the mother's pleas and she thinks that now, like, we can do something and we can't, and it's just a terrible situation, that stuff sometimes when it goes like that.
Just mom's just begging you to help her child. Like, cause I mean, she probably will end up dead.
She likely could. Yes. Yeah. And you know what? In her mind, she came to a place of help and support, and she thinks we did nothing. She goes, what are you doing? Throwing papers at her? That's not going to help her. And, I explained to her, I said, I made an appointment. I did the intake with her. She has to follow through on her own. And the patient's like, oh, don't listen to my mom. I'll do it. At that point, she was great. 2 days before that, she was drooling and soiling herself.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Drugs are crazy too.
What's going on over there? Like how young are these people? Would you say, give me a range, and like what type of drugs are they using? Is it heroin?
I still see the H a lot. A lot of times I think what's happening is the heroin is laced with the fentanyl. That's becoming something that I don't know is a new thing, but yeah, definitely the heroin is more young. I would say like, I haven't seen teenagers, but I would say like in the early 20s, definitely too young my gosh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But you see that a lot more, and not just snorting it, which a lot of the IV, and they're getting cellulitis of their arms and just all, ugh.
Yeah. Infections, cellulitis.
Yeah,
I
sometimes it's
mean,
not the drugs that kill them, it's the other shit.
have you heard there was a place in New York called a safe injection clinic. Are you aware of these
Yeah,
things?
they give out clean needles. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Hmm.
about clean
Which, I
needles.
mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm always of two minds of these things. I feel like you're perpetuating the bullshit, but then I don't know. It's like giving out condoms to a whorehouse. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's the same concept. It really is. So is it right or is it wrong? You try, like, people going to do it anyway, so then you give them what they need so that it's clean. People always do what they have to do anyway. So I think sometimes people's intention is to give them the ability to do it safe so that, but I don't know that you can always be gray on these areas. Is it right or is it wrong? Or, well, you're going to do it anyway. So here, let me give you some help.
I don't really agree with it. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think it sucks that that it has to happen because like the people with the power to help aren't helping. I don't know what it is, like money wise. Like you should probably fix the problem another way, but people aren't worried about that stuff. So the people on the ground level who see their loved ones going through it are more worried. I'm like, well, this is the only way I can help them, so I'm gonna help them this way. And it just sucks.
I agree. Yeah, there's definitely a larger level to help. But yeah, it's a small, I don't know. It's a lot of controversy with the idea of that. And even we have a Narcan program, like, so you can get Narcan. So what, like, now do I believe morally, ethically that you should just drop dead? Like, or that if you have a family member who's struggling with addiction, right? Like, I don't. I get that. I don't have a loved one who has an addiction problem. So I don't know what it's like to have somebody who, for whatever reason they have chosen this as their coping mechanism, be dead on a floor and not like you have, like, you know what I mean? It's an instant where you can save them. But then it's like, I have, people who have utilized the Narcan multitudes of times. When does it stop?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a really good thing. But it's sad that that's even available to be a thing, is what I
I
mean,
know.
truly. That sounds very stupid, but you know what I mean.
No, no, no. I totally agree. I am right now in the middle of a campaign to promote um free Narcan. Like you can go to places
Hmm.
where you can get free Narcan, and it's just like
Yeah.
why, like, what is that gonna do? Like somebody out there is gonna be like, oh, we get free Narcan, let's fucking go ape shit with the drugs,
Stockpile
because
it.
yeah, We got Narcan. We got free Narcan. We can take this. We can test the limits. Like, you just bring me
There
back
are
if
going to be
anything
those people.
happens, you know? And it's
Hmm.
just like, ah, God. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Is it for the greater good if we get this stuff out for,
I
you know?
know. No, but I do think that like there's going to, I guess my thing is when you evoke change, I'm more of the mindset I would like to change the small. So like I don't know that I'm going to be climbing the hill and changing the policies and everything. I want to start at the community level, and I'm all about dominoes. So once you start one, it can go and can go and go. So like I agree with free Narcan. I feel like maybe that one person that got fucking revived is going to change their life because like they're going to be like, holy shit, I was just dead. And
Mm-hmm.
or but there's going to be those people that are going to be resubmitting doing the movie The Flatliners, right? Let's go, and then keep coming back. And I can't. Those people I don't know are ever going to be changed. It didn't matter what provided to them. I think that the people that truly want the change inside, and it's going to come no matter what. And you have
Yeah.
to figure those people out. So
Yeah. No, I
we'll
believe in it
talk.
too, which is why I'm doing it. I think it's, I mean, not only does it give free Narcan, it just kind of brings awareness to what this thing is and like it is an
Yes.
option, you know? Like, it's here.
Yeah.
Just in case something happens, you can maybe just ask for it. Does anybody have
And it
Narcan?
makes,
Scream it.
yeah, and it makes the family and the friends that feel helpless that are trying to help those people that are stricken with addiction and everything feel like they can do something when it really gets bad. I mean, like, right? Like you could feel hopeless and like, oh shit, at least you have that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I definitely agree with the availability of it.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that the crazy subjects that we could talk
That we,
about? Has a patient ever actually physically hurt you?
So yes, I've had a couple of incidences. I had, and please forgive me for the description. I'm just describing it, not in any kind of judgment, but she was like, remember the movie Precious?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Okay, that's what she was, right?
Okay, that's who she was.
So, okay, so that's, she was a very large young lady. And, so the hospital that I work at is in the South Shore, like, I guess the western part of Long Island. It's not that far, but she was out, like, she lived 25 minutes, almost a half hour east. So we provide, at that point, like vouchers for cabs sometimes, right? But there was a cap on like how far we were going to fucking pay for this cab. So she was in the part that we were not going to pay. It was like 45 miles. So there's buses, right? We had bus vouchers. So she wasn't even going to have to pay for the bus voucher. You just know when the shit's going to hit the fan, but you just never could move fast enough, right? So I went in. They were like, oh, Jess, go tell them that she has to go, that we're going to just give her a bus. So now I told you what she looked like. I don't know that she wanted to be walking in the buses, and she was going to have to fucking make 2 transfers. It was going to be an all day project to get 20-minute cab ride out. But we weren't giving it to her because she's a frequent flyer. She'd come. We've done a lot of stuff for her. So long story short, I go in. I had my hair up in like a clip. Now I have very long hair. So I walk in and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give you the bus vouchers. And now she was a very large, robust woman sitting on a gurney. I don't believe I ever anticipated that she could get the fuck up so fast in my life. Once like she got up like a sprinter. I was like, she grabbed my ponytail. She ripped the clip out. We had to like security because she was like, "Oh no, bitch, I'm not gonna take that bus." And she was like, "Wah!" So that I had that once. Now I just messed my
Oh,
hair up. I was talking about it. Yeah, definitely just a little
how
bit of chunk of hair. So I
how
was okay,
long?
but that was like,
Well, people swarmed her immediately. I'm guessing. I mean, was
oh
she
yeah,
like,
Bill. Oh yeah. Well, you're talking like, I felt her get like slightly annoyed. So I had the nurse was right here with me and I started to move back a little bit, but I didn't think she could get up so fast. And I'm not being ignorant. Holy hell. And she was quick, but we were able to get away with that. So that was fun. And then I
yeah?
had, fairly recent, this is what I'm saying, healthcare, you think this is fun. Um, Fairly recently, I had, within the last 6 months, a psych patient that threw the table at me and called me the C word. That was fun.
What happened? Did
Like,
you
so
what did you say,
what do you
Jessica?
I didn't say anything. You start to like almost laugh out of nerve because you really, when you work in healthcare, sometimes you don't even believe that this shit is happening because it's so instantaneous. It's a light switch. You could be skipping along, thinking about you're going to be making meatloaf when you get home that night. And then all of a sudden a side table is being shoved at you and you're being called the CUNT. I mean, and then a lot of time, in those instances, security's like swarms in. They make it worse and safe at the same time because it's like, wait, like he didn't hurt me. It's nuts. That's
Yeah.
fun. The psych patients are unpredictable and you're not really in the safest environment, right? Like nobody, you're not policed. You're trying to give the support and counsel, but people who are unwell and have, having delusions and stuff like that, you always got to know your spatial area. I was walking away. He threw the table back from me behind.
What I
It's
mean,
not funny.
it's not. It's hilarious. It's
It's
fucking
really
hilarious.
not. But
What?
um,
But what led up to the table throwing?
I was telling him that he was going to a psychiatric facility, and it was the one he didn't want to go to. The one he wanted to go to didn't have a bed. So I swear to God, it's like I gave him Burger King over McDonald's. He was like, "Oh, that's not where I want to go, bitch!" And he threw the thing at me, and he started calling me filthy names. And like I don't, I like went right by, the side tables, right? It like
Yeah,
just breezed past me. I'm like, oh my God,
those
I
are
would have been
those are
knocked.
heavy.
Those are heavy.
Those are heavy as shit.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, oh Lord.
That'll
I was
kill
like,
somebody.
ooh. Mm-hmm. It missed me by like an inch or so. And I was like, I felt the breeze of it. And I'm like, and he started to like, I'm like, and then I'm like running out of the emergency. It's just hysterical. I'm not funny in a funny way. Then I'm like, holy shit.
But
I gotta
holy
go home and tell
shit!
my husband this story.
Oh my god! Every time someone was like, it just reminds me of like the people online who are just saying stuff like, "Man, you should. Why are you being so mean? You should be helping these people. Like, why are
You
you
do
talking shit?"
help
Like, I'm
them. I
I'm not
help
talking shit.
everybody.
Yeah, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying this is my experience, and sometimes I laugh. Like the way we talked about it, like it was we giggled here and there, but people looking in would be like, "How dare you? Like they have issues, they have problems. You're not helping them the right way." Like we literally tried to place him. We literally tried to
That's not my
place him.
fault. He decided to pick a table up.
Yeah.
I did, right? Yeah. I had another patient that was an alcoholic in the emergency room, and this is not funny, but it is funny. It was funny for me, but you know how with the patients, and sometimes when the alcoholics, it's not that they're ignored. It's that people like to be like, well, they're drunk, just they're fine. And when you're in an emergency room, in all due respect, you have all these critical patients coming in and stuff. So Johnny Walker, who's been drunk every fucking time he comes in, and is just sitting there talking incessantly, smells like urine, whatever's going on. Sometimes he's not given the amount of attention that he's given like the others. So this one patient kept saying that he had to go to the bathroom. I was counseling him about the alcohol and things like that. And he kept saying he had to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. So the one to one, because usually the one to ones for like six of them, was like, I gave him the urinal. He's fine. The guy's like, no, I need to go number two. I need to go number two. She's like, he's lying. And now after I counseled him and everything, she's like, oh, he's lying. He doesn't need to go. Probably about 15 minutes later, this fucking guy pulled his pants down, a projectile shit against the wall. I almost fucking died. Now I was like right next to the other, and he looked at the fucking nurse dead in the face and was like, I told you I had to go. And she was like, I can't even believe. And I was like, he did. I was like, he told you 20 minutes ago and you refused to take him. And that's what you get. That's what you get because you refused.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's horrible. And I was like, did you just do that? Like, and I wasn't like in shot where I would have gotten like ricochet shitted on. I was square, but I was still close enough that I heard it, saw it, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Why
I've
would you
never
do that?
I've never had that happen to me.
Ugh. That one was a good one. That was great.
I am
I like
so scared. I am so scared of patients shitting just because I'm going to be the one who has to clean it up. I'll let you sit on that toilet all day long. You can stay right the fuck there. You're safe on the toilet. You're safe.
yeah.
You're pretty safe. You're safe on the toilet. You sit down.
Everybody has a thing. Like I think snot is my thing. Like I don't like puke. I don't care. GI bleeds are disgusting. They're horrible to smell.
Oh yeah.
But no, shit doesn't bother me. But oh god, what's wrong with people puking? You know what? Do you ever sit with that patient that's dry heaving for 17 hours? That's in the cubicle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got the cyclic vomiters, the dry heavers.
Vomiters. I had the mental health patient that she swallowed probably about $1.25 and change. This is what people don't understand, that you don't work in healthcare, that this is what we fucking do, even though they would think this is mean and rude. But this was how you cope. She swallowed that, and she swallowed like an anchor, like a necklace with the anchor. So the anchor, unfortunately, she had to have like surgery because it perforated her when it was coming out. That's not funny, but that was what she did. But then every day she was on the residence, she was on the teaching, the hospital, the teaching doctors. And every day they came in, they were doing x-rays. So every day we would gather around the nursing station. It's $1.20 today. Next day it'd be $1.15. We were counting down the fucking change. Horrible.
That's
What you do to cope.
That's
It
fucking
is, it's
funny.
horrible.
That's
But
fucking
it's what you
funny.
do to cope.
But there's one time she swallowed a necklace and for those of you who don't know, perforated, that means it cut something inside of her, so they had to go
Yes,
in and
that
have
wasn't
surgery.
nice. But the other occasion she had come, she had like pica. So she had a history of pica, which if nobody knows what that is, it's like where you have an incessant need to swallow inanimate things, that you just eat everything. Um, so she did change one time, but the other time she did the anchor. That was sad. But the change we did watch every day.
The change is hilarious. Can you tell on the X-ray
Yeah.
what is a dime and what is like a
Yeah,
quarter?
you were able to. I mean, I don't know if we were guessing, but we were definitely, when it came down to a certain amount, like, oh, it looks like it's 25 cents. We're almost in the clear.
Jesus. Yeah, those are the little things that, people don't understand. That's kind of the little things that we see. That was,
That you, right, right? That you live in a world
that
that this is like something that you can actually talk, that it's happening. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And like, it's just, and people get upset that like me and you who work in healthcare for this long and do deal with this shit, laugh about it and make jokes about it. And they're like, you shouldn't laugh. You shouldn't joke. And I'm just like, you have no fucking idea what's going on.
First of all, you have no idea what it's like to do this at day. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I have everybody in healthcare are the darkest fucking people. The darkest humor, coping skills are what they are. But they're also the people that I know for sure would probably run in front of the fucking car for you. So I don't care what anybody says. I've seen the worst of the worst, the best of the best. I've been called filthy names, but I still keep going back. So there's got to be either something fucking wrong with me, or I really feel like I could do something well with my life. It's like you don't know which one it is, but maybe some days it's one, some days it's the other. So I mean,
know. It's turned you to, you become a product of your own work, Jessica.
Right?
You are a psych patient, essentially. This is what that sounds like.
I mean, honestly, minus some tables thrown because I don't want to go to jail, but yes, absolutely.
And oh God, it's so funny. And for all like the medical TV shows out there that are like trying to be dramatic and doing all this crazy shit, like highlight some of the real shit, man. This stuff is pretty funny in itself, but you don't hear about it.
It doesn't take away from the fact that, like, I mean, I've spent all my time and I would never take it back. Everybody's issues and concerns are real. I give 150% of my empathy, my sympathy, my understanding. There's no mockery of your illness and what got you there and stuff, but sometimes you have to like laugh at the dark things that happen in life. Otherwise, we really you just can't do this stuff. It doesn't ever take away from the good that's being laced down there, but when you're getting a table thrown at you and you're feeling like a little getting called filthy names, sometimes you just gotta laugh. You just it's not to laugh at the illness. I don't think mental illness is funny. I don't think domestic violence is funny. I don't think, but you do cope in a shitty way sometimes when you're dealing with the travesties of life. I'm
You
sorry.
laugh at the situation. You laugh at the situation. And you go, is anybody else seeing this, or is it just me living in
Because
this world?
you think you're in like, I mean, you think you're in a carnival. There's like one bearded lady short every day, for reals.
For reals. You know, I wanted to touch on one more thing before our hour is up here. But it's kind of sad. But like, I want to know how you deal with like families for like lost loved ones during like traumas. You're the one who's in there having to call people and helping them cope, and you're sitting down with them, like asking them if they need anything. You're providing counseling. Like, how do you deal with that? And like, kind of just walk us through that part of your job.
So all of the, the losses in our lives, the loss is so universal, right? Like we're all going to walk through that time in our lives. It doesn't matter our culture, our race, all of those things are very relevant to being human. Sometimes it's going to be from cancer. Sometimes it's going to be a trauma. I think that from my perspective, I try to evaluate where they're at. I try to truly see what they need me to do. Do they need me to talk? Do they need me to listen? Some people don't want to hear about God. They don't want to hear about pastoral care or anything in those instances. There is real value in just sometimes giving them that attention to the concerns at the hand, like motor vehicle accidents is sometimes I'm sorry is not enough. Sometimes just holding their hand. What can I do? Do you need me to make a phone call for somebody? Do you need me to get you a drink of water? I've had loved ones that I've sat with them. I had a meeting with the patient. She was like 42. She had three little girls. And she had brain cancer, and it was really intense to go with tell them, the husband and the girls, what was going to happen with the mom. And at that point, she wasn't coherent from the brain tumor. That, they had questions and they wanted to be very specific. And as much as it made me sick to tell them, I gave them the specifics. Like, she's not going to be able to answer you. This is what's going to happen. So you have to be where they're at. Some people want nothing told. They want it sugar coated and that's it. Just let me know. During COVID was really hard too.
Mm.
We did a lot of FaceTime. That was awful. Like, just people didn't get that touch, that ending that you need. So we did a lot of that too at that stage. So I don't know that there's anything specific more than the ability to be present. I think that's the best way to describe the social work piece of it, is to be present and provide them that love that they need in whatever way it comes.
Yeah, I mean, that was always the hardest thing to watch, in the trauma room, where we're like hammering down the CPR, pushing meds, and like sometimes they'll bring the family members. I had one doctor who liked to bring the family member in just to show them, listen, like, we're doing
This is
everything
the
we
effort
can.
being made.
We're doing
Mm-hmm.
everything we can. And she's sitting there crying with the social work. And I'm just like, dude, how the fuck do you talk to
Yeah,
this
and like
person?
what do you do? Like, I find that over the years, like as it's been in my own life, what you know too. Like, like this isn't futile. Like, we gotta stop. But sometimes the family just wants you to keep going and doing and everything, and you're doing it, and it's like, oh. Or even like when you hear like the prognosis and you find out they're doing cancers and surgeries, and you're like, fuck, what's gonna happen. It's hard, but you have to ride it. You have to ride where they're at. I had one doctor tell me not to be specific. And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, it's not our business to give it to the families in the same capacity that we told the patient. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. She goes, well, the patient doesn't want you to tell them A, B, and C. I was like, but the patient, like, they have a right to make a decision. You're not giving them all the information to make the right decision. It's just weird. Like, I feel like you should be truthful to a fault about things, about what's happening. Like you said, that doctor would bring them in and show them all the efforts being made. Some other doctors would be like, no, they're gone. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, it's you gotta feel that out. You have to see what's going on. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. There's a lot of deaths that, that you just really, you take them home with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still one I think about sometimes and I still just start tearing up. It's one of those ones where like young couple, unexpected heart attack, you know, guy didn't make it and the wife was just hysterical. That's just every time I think about it, I'm just like, fuck, I can never get that out of my head. The things she
Yeah,
said, the
we
things
always
she
have
was
that like
screaming. Yeah. So it's
I
hard.
had
And
a
go ahead.
I know, but there's always the one that always sits in you. I had a 14-year-old girl. They went to the movies. Her sister was 12 and they went to the movies and they walked across the street and the 12-year-old got hit by a car and died. And that little girl, that 14-year-old, shit, I don't know how she's probably going to ever keep going on and not feel like she did it to herself. Like the guilt and the things that she was saying. And I couldn't reassure her enough. It was, but that's what's hard. Cause did I leave sometimes and I'm like, did I give them everything that they needed? It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
She felt like maybe it was her fault.
Yeah, she was ahead of her.
Mm,
Ugh, I can remember that one. That one was hard. That
yeah.
was really hard.
Yeah, man. The stuff you see, like it shouldn't go unnoticed. And I'm so happy we got to do this and
Well,
like kind of
thank you.
highlight some of the stuff that you go through because it's fucked up and
It
it's
really is.
it's
It
so
really
fucked
do you
up.
not think that it changes your perspective? Like I have to tell you, had I chose to be like a horticulturalist, I might not be as much of an asshole or as fucked up as I would be. I do think that like, well, as the years have progressed, I hope that it's made me a better human being, but I definitely see things through different eyes. You can't see this shit and not have a different perspective. I hope a
Yeah.
better one. In my heart, I feel like it's better, but you really, I think everybody who does all this is badass motherfuckers for sure.
Yeah. Including yourself. So thank you
Thank you.
thank you so much
I
for doing this
appreciate
interview.
it.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh
you
my
for
gosh.
having me.